According to this document, it said that the Negro Indians are in rebellion. Why would they refer to us as Negro Indians if we were Africans during this time frame? Wouldn't they just say the African slaves are in rebellion? Because as soon as you got the slave ship, you was a slave. So why wouldn't they refer to them as African slaves in rebellion? Why would they refer to them as Negro Indians in rebellion? And we all know that Negro means black. So, again, all of the Native Americans that are in my comments trying to go back and forth with me have done not a lick of research. Please go do some research. Get off of my page. Thank you.
So I'm on FamilySearch.org, right? You know, the one that's operated by the LSD Church, the Mormons, who are storing about millions of our family records, important historical documents, census records, land deeds, tribal rolls, which 90% is inaccessible to the public because it's stored underground in the Granite Mountain Vault. Literally a carved out mountain that holds our history.
Might have to drop a dime on them.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta stop it.
I don't like that shit.
For sure, bro.
I don't like that shit.
Alright, y'all, we back with another video, man. Y'all know how we do. Always push and help open and better understand the self. So check this out, y'all. We got more evidence, more proof that we do not come from Africa. And I know y'all seen, I put out a lot of content, a lot of information on this. If y'all new to the channel, make sure y'all subscribe, push me on the algorithm, hit that like button, man. I appreciate it. I've been showing proof as far as the water, okay, that America's hold 50% of the world's water. We got the Albert Perry, okay, we got the Louisa skull. I showed so much evidence on this channel to show proof that indigenous black people come from America, right? And we got politicians, we got, you know, people that's public figures that still associate this African-American term with us. And when they do that, it dilutes our indigenous and our unique history on this land. We're going to be having more videos like this because we got to make this common knowledge around when anybody speaks, they know to speak on us as being indigenous to America. Not keep saying, you come from Africa. Where's your people from? Okay? Y'all check this out. I'm going to give you some more commentary. Let's get it.
Second evidence that they don't want you to connect the dots to. The paper trail of erasure. The 14th Amendment created a new status for citizens, but it did not and could not legally extinguish the pre-existent presence of the people who was here as sovereigners due to our maternal lineage, documented maternal lineage leading back to women who was here before the nation existed. So once again, that same law, baby follows the belly, that set the legal foundation for our maternal lineages to be tracked, was the start of the reclassification era. Families moving from Indian to mulatto to Negro to black, etc. And although the labels changed, the people didn't. We're talking about the same melanated families that was reclassified out of existence and was relabeled over 7 different times. And I haven't even scratched the surface of the coats of arms that a lot of us are starting to find in our genealogy, our direct lineage. Who were melanated Europeans that represented people of high ranking and nobility? You ever wondered where the free people of color category came from? Like, you ever wondered how there was free Negroes running around the same time as slavery owning land? When I say this shit goes deep, let's just say there was a lot of destiny swapping going on. Listen. And lastly, the genetic trail of presence. That Y population signal that is sitting in our raw DNA, Lucia's lineage, that actual Melanesian signal, the one they said that looks similar to the people of New Guinea, the one geneticist says didn't exist in any modern North American population, the one they said vanished, is sitting in most of us Black Americans' DNA, so-called Black Americans. And then when we take into account no direct matches or close relatives on the continent of Africa, which would only explain thousands of years of separation, if that. So why won't geneticists and institutions just call it what it is? Because acknowledging that a large portion of the so-called Black population carries the original North American baseline, and that there was actually a Black Afrolit presence here first, would require a total rewrite of land rights and sovereignty. And then we gotta take into account again those melanated European coats of arms, that noble European lineage that came over here and intermixed with the melanated indigenous tribes. This union didn't just create a family, it granted a double sovereignty. which I'll explain really quickly in the next video, which I promise y'all gonna want to see. So I'm gonna believe the evidence in my own DNA. I'm gonna believe the evidence in my own genealogy, and I'm gonna believe the very legal law that's still in existence that can't be repealed but only overshadowed over any of these white tea narratives any day.
Then why, since the Native Americans are so smart and you got your degrees and you know every goddamn thing, then why aren't you guys getting up here discussing the 1924 Racial Integrity Act? I told y'all to leave me the fuck alone, but y'all wanted to push. So let's motherfucking press these motherfucking pipes. And surprisingly, this document or this bill was passed the same year that you guys were able to call yourselves Native American. I broke this down in 2 parts. Yes, we're reading the entire thing. Buckle your seatbelts. And I'm finna give you hoes a little deal. You might as well go ahead and call Bonnet Boss. It says Senate Bill 219 to preserve racial integrity passed the House in 1924 of March 8th. And it's now a law of the state. Oh, I can't wait to jump into the gold. This bill aims at correcting a condition which only the more thoughtful people of Virginia know the existence of. It is estimated that there are in the state of from 10,000 to 20,000, possibly more, near white people who are known to possess an intermixture of colored blood. Now, before I finish, I need all of y'all Native Americans to drop that meme that y'all have been passing around of the what's it, the identity crisis of the Negro. Y'all go ahead and drop that before I finish, because y'all know we were classified several times, but y'all don't believe us. Let's keep going. In some cases, to a slight extent, it is true, but still enough to prevent them from being white. Oh. In the past, it has been possible for these people to declare themselves as white, or even to have the court so declare them. They have demanded the admittance of their children into the white schools, and in not a few cases have intermarried with white people. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that the only intermarried that we had to worry about was the Cherokees and the Europeans. I didn't know that the coloreds and the Negroes had that to worry about as well. I mean, maybe in 1924, because that's after the slavery was abolished, right? Let's keep going. They exist as distinct colonies holding themselves aloof from Negroes. So y'all didn't believe us when we said that our terms were interchangeable. But I just proved to you that we got colored and now we got Negro. Let's keep going. But not being admitted by the white people as of their race. Y'all ready? In any large gathering or school of colored people, there goes that word again, especially in the cities, many will be observed who are scarcely distinguishable as colored. These persons, however, are not white in reality, nor by the new definitions of this law. That a white person is with one with no trace of the blood of another race, except that a person with 1/16 of the American Indian. So if this document was to prevent Caucasian people or colored people who could pass as Caucasian from passing as Caucasian, then why are they called American Indian?
So I'm on FamilySearch.org, right? You know, the one that's operated by the LSD Church, the Mormons, who are storing about millions of our family records, important historical documents, census records, land deeds, tribal rolls, which 90% is inaccessible to the public because it's stored underground in the Granite Mountain Vault. Literally a carved out mountain that holds our history. But anyway, let me get to the point. And I came across a very critical historical document. So before I jump into it, this is only for educational and historical discussion only. Anything I state in this video is backed by documented research and primary sources. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. This is not misinformation. This is history through another lens. Racial identification classification. Mulatto. 1705 to 1850 in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. M represented Indian ancestry most of the time. Free people of color, free colored persons was also synonymous with Indian. Now y'all can pause it and go through the different classifications, but let's just go down to the bottom. It seems likely that the United States from 1790 through 1860 did not intend tax-paying Indians to be counted as whitey people. The only category left would then be the all other free people or the colored category. That North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, and other states chose to enumerate most or all Indians as colored persons must be seen as being in accord with the intentions of the United States government. So a family listed as an Indian in a local colonial treaty in 1750 was automatically written down as a free person of color by a federal census taker in 1790 and then compressed into the mulatto, negro, colored, or black category by the 1870s. Keep following. And lastly, if you go down to the last paragraph, it says, as already noted, the census records of Virginia through 1830 uniformly placed all Indians in the free colored category, while those of 1840 and 1850 categorized virtually all as M, standing for mulatto. These persons include the members of reservations, tribal council chiefs, and some persons identified in other sources as having no African ancestry. So basically, if a chief or a tribe was reclassified to a mulatto or a free person of color on government records, their children and descendants lost any legal standing to claim any land or sovereignty. Let's keep going. It says, Indian racial classification. Since Indian slavery and colonization, Indian people in Ohio and elsewhere were taught that they were colored, but that meant color red. However, the dominant society's perception of colored often was a different interpretation, misclassifying people of darker complexions as mulatto, colored, or negro, or black. The color category came from the free people of color category 1790 to 1840, which ran the full gamut from almost whitey to black. Full-blooded Indians were recorded as black, negro, or colored numerous times throughout the history of the state and nation. Although dark-skinned, the blood was not African. Full blood and mixed blooded Saponi were recorded on the census as whitey, black, negro, mulatto, colored, or Indian. Although they were indigenous to this land, prejudice, hate, and envy continued to be towards the Indian people had to face every day of their lives. Parents would whisper to their children, "You're colored, but you're Indian." The fear still existed that they would be moved west to Indian territory. Once again, parents would whisper to their children, "You're colored, but you're Indian." Yeah, so our grannies, our elders, the ones that told us that we Indian, we got Indian in our family, you know, the ones that y'all be calling liars. Like I said, my elder ain't no liar. Y'all elders are the liars. Those are the real pulling the wool over your head people. But anyway, there's no coincidence that millions of so-called Black American households across this country share the same exact oral history. Now let's continue down to the last two passages. It says, although Indians were listed on the census rolls as colored, their color was of Indian devariation and not Negro devariation. They're clearly making a distinction between two completely different bloodlines that just so happen to share the same dark skin tone. But let's keep going. It says the enumerators' only choices were whitey, black, mulatto, or colored. So the Indians with their darker complexions were placed on the census in Ohio and elsewhere as mulatto, black, or colored. Modern society has conditioned us to believe that dark skin can only come from the continent of Africa. But this document confirms that the Americas had their own highly melanated, dark-skinned, swarthy inhabitants that is totally independent from the transatlantic migration narrative. And once again, they weren't the so-called modern-day natives with a tan or sunburnt skin. So when we get up here and say that there was black people already on this continent, y'all gotta stop associating the word black to the continent of Africa, because I guarantee you that every so-called Black American that does their genealogy can prove that their ancestors were reclassified from mulatto, colored, or negro. We were reclassified over 7 different times to hide the truth. And this is for my people that are still asleep and that still believe in the transatlantic narrative. We were already here. Do your genealogy and I promise you, you will find the truth in your own family records. Millions of families that never left their lands, I'm talking about us so-called Black Americans, were reclassified from one generation to the next. And if you haven't seen this video right here, it'll explain everything. As a matter of fact, click on this comment, it'll take you straight to the video I'm talking about. And by the way, I found multiple critical documents that I will be sharing.
All right, so there y'all see more evidence, man. Shout out to them sisters for providing that information. But we got more information, and more to come, because until this is common knowledge, until people feel weird about calling us African Americans, we're going to keep pushing these facts down their throat. And we're going to make sure that they respect our indigenous lineage and they respect what we want to be called ourselves, instead of all of this reclassification that we've been getting all of these years with Jesse Jackson and, you know, all of the power that be of wanting to hide our history. But man, I appreciate y'all. Salute. We will be going live. I know we haven't been going live lately, y'all, but you know, business been picking up real. I've been backed up with business. I appreciate everybody, man, who've been referring me to people to get their water treated. Most definitely been amazing. Appreciate and love y'all. The Water Gang, I love y'all, man. All the members who've been tapped in with me, especially the Water Money team. I got to give y'all a big shout out, man, for support. We're going to keep it going. I'm going to catch y'all live. We got more content, more videos coming. I appreciate y'all. Catch y'all in the next one.
You know, another thing that I peeped, immigrants can't comprehend that there's Americans here that are not immigrants. They really just can't get it. At my old job, I remember it was a story that popped up and we were asking each other like where we all were from and this, that, and the third. And I was like, damn, a lot of y'all really peoples migrated here or whatever. And so I decided to ask my coworkers the other day, like, where are they from? Because I remember one of the girls saying that her mom, that her mom was from like England. And so she was like, so where are you from? Asking another coworker. And he was like, well, my peoples is from Trinidad, but I was born here. I'm American. She said, well, no, you're an immigrant. I said, well, damn, that means you're an immigrant too. And so they're asking me like, yo, where's your mom from? I said, here. Where's your dad from? Here. Where's your grandparents from? Here. And I was like, we've been tracing ours and ours has always been here. So she was like, well, you could be like American Indian or some sort. And I was like, maybe, you know, like. And so you can tell by her face, they was like, I'm like, at some point, y'all got to realize that the top 1%, the elites, have been lying to y'all about who's who. And that's why we can't get deported. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think they really want to deport us for real, because they know what we're fully capable of. There were building structures and shit already here. Wasn't no aliens. They done pulled a switcheroo, and I think that's why so many people are mad. Because they thought we were considered immigrants. We don't get all that immigrant stuff. We don't get that stuff. So, I don't know, man, but I think when the truth come out, it's going to be too late. We tried to tell you that these people that are in charge have been lying. But some of us don't have the immigrant story. Like, we literally, parents, we can trace back to being here.
A community must have three things to have a community in it. You must have a wholly independent economic structure that can provide goods, service, products, and things for your own people, and jobs and tax spaces for your own people. You should at least control four basic things. You should be trying to control water, food, medicine, and energy to be able to survive and compete.
Here we got Mr. Pollock. He had a cornfield. He took advantage of a free water test from us, and this is what we found in this water. We found sulfur, we found hardness, and we solved these problems with an easy fix of 2 tanks. So get your free water test today. Stay blessed. Click the link below.